Alright, this chapter starts calm, but the moment Qin Chen opens his mouth near a real so-called master, the whole room turns into a battlefield without anyone throwing a punch. This is the kind of scene where one sentence hurts more than any sword. We start during the meal after Zhang Rong invited Qin Chen to join the main sacred pill pavilion. For normal people, that offer would be life-changing. Power, status, access to the core of the continent, control over hundreds of empires. Even Shang Dingfeng almost stopped breathing hearing it. Vice Pavilion Master. That position is only below the Pavilion Lord himself, and even those Vice Masters can influence decisions across the entire Nether continent. And Zhang Rong wasn't joking. He was serious. He said with Qin Chen's talent, he could become the greatest genius the Sacred Pill Pavilion had seen in nearly 1,000 years. Everyone at the table waiting for Qin Chen's reaction. And Qin Chen just smiles. He says the North Ming Empire is his home. He likes this place. But sooner or later, he will go to the core of the continent anyway. Not because someone invited him, because he planned to go. That line sounds calm, but if you listen carefully, it's not ambition. It's certainty. Like he already knows where he belongs. Then someone knocks on the door, asking Zhang Rong when he plans to leave. Zhang Rong says not yet. He will stay a few more days. Shang Dingfeng immediately understands why. Not for rest. For Qin Chen. Even Zhang Rong himself knows this boy is something special, and he wants to see more. The meal continues, but suddenly Yizaiking comes back looking pale. She looks at Qin Chen and says her mother's condition worsened. Qin Chen doesn't even ask details. He just stands up and says let's go. Everyone confused, but he explains while walking. Every time the poison acts up, her mother feels like insects eating her from the inside. Every minute of delay means more pain, so stop talking. No. Zhang Rong hears the name of the poison and asks what it is. 9 nether scorpion toxin. The moment he hears that, even he gets serious. That poison is extremely cold, extremely vicious, and cannot be neutralized with pure fire energy. If you try to use strong heat to remove it, the hot and cold energies collide and make the poison spread even deeper. Exactly what happened when they used heavenly fire spirit crystal before. Zhang Rong says honestly, if the poison reached this level, saving her is almost impossible unless the cultivator is far beyond the 4 spirit realm. Shang Dingfeng and Shang Xinyu exchange looks, because Qin Chen already said he can cure it. And Zhang Rong just nods slowly and says if he said he can, then maybe he really can. That one sentence shows how much his opinion changed after talking with Qin Chen. So they all go to the Lin residence, one of the biggest families in the empire. Huge buildings, multiple courtyards, guards everywhere, the kind of place where ordinary people don't even dare to walk close. They enter a small courtyard, and the moment the door opens, the air feels wrong. Cold, then hot, then cold again. The temperature keeps changing like desert weather. On the bed lies Yizaiking's mother, her body releasing waves of heat and ice at the same time. Next to the bed, an old man with white hair is checking her pulse calmly, while Yizaiking's father stands nearby looking worried. The old man speaks first. He says the cold poison has fully erupted, and now only a 5th grade pill called Flame Jade Pill can suppress it for a few days. Not cure, suppress. He says if they don't find it within 3 days, there's nothing he can do. Yizaiking's father immediately agrees to go get it. And right then Qin Chen speaks. If you want her to live longer than a few days, don't do that. The whole room freezes. Everyone turns. The old man looks at Qin Chen with annoyance. He asks who this kid is and says this is not a place for him to talk. Qin Chen looks at him once and smiles slightly. He asks if he is Master Chu Fengyang, the one who told them to use Heavenly Fire Spirit Crystal before. The old man proudly says yes. He even calls himself this master. That's when Qin Chen laughs. Not loud, not angry, just amused. And he says one sentence that hits harder than any slap. Calling yourself this master? You're not qualified. The air in the room drops instantly. Yizaiking freezes. Her father freezes. Even Zhang Rong stops walking, because nobody expected Qin Chen to talk like that in front of a famous alchemist. But Qin Chen doesn't look arrogant. He looks disappointed, like a teacher seeing a student who never understood the lesson. Alright, this chapter is pure verbal slaughter. Nobody fights, nobody moves, but one old master loses his dignity line by line. And the worst part is he walked straight into it himself. We start right where Qin Chen called Chu Fengyang not qualified to call himself master, and the whole room freezes instantly. Yuan frowns, Yizaiking shocked, and Chu Fengyang looks like someone just slapped him in public. Qin Chen doesn't stop either. He asks calmly if Chu Fengyang still remembers what he said before, that using Heavenly Fire Spirit Crystal could cure the cold poison. Then he points at the current situation. Did it work? Now the poison is worse, and you want to use flame jade pill to suppress it. Xu Fengjiang gets angry immediately, saying Qin Chen is just a kid who doesn't understand anything. He insists the poison of 9 nether scorpion is extremely cold, and only something extremely hot like heavenly fire spirit crystal can neutralize it. Hot and cold balance each other. That logic sounds right, but Qin Chen laughs. He says the problem is not the poison. The problem is that Xu Fengjiang forgot one thing. The human body has limits. When two extreme energies clash inside a body that cannot handle it, instead of canceling each other, they create a yin-yang vortex inside the organs. Energy stops flowing. The poison becomes unstable, and every time the patient moves or emotions change, the toxin explodes again. The moment he says that, Yi Ziking's eyes widen, because those symptoms are exactly right, and she never told him. Xu Fengyang's face changes too, but he still refuses to admit it. He says even if that happened, it's because the body changed, not because his method was wrong. Qin Chen calls him stupid directly. He says both the cold poison and heavenly fire spirit crystal are too violent, and Xu Fengjiang never considered whether the patient's body could survive the balance. Then Qin Chen goes further. He says using flame jade pill now will only force the body to burn its own life force to keep the poison down. Temporary suppression, shorter lifespan, weaker foundation, eventually death anyway. Hearing this, Yi Tongyuan's expression turns cold. He looks at Xu Fengjiang like he wants an explanation. Xu Fengjiang starts sweating. He tries to argue, saying the poison is too strong and what he did was the best possible method. Right then another voice comes from the door. If you don't believe him, believe me. Everyone turns. Jian Rom walks in. The moment Xu Fengjiang sees him, his face changes completely. 7th grade alchemist, someone he cannot even compare himself to. Jian Rom walks inside calmly and repeats Qin Chen's explanation, almost word for word. He says yes, cold poison can be neutralized by fire, but only if the body can handle the pressure. Otherwise, the result is exactly what Qin Chen described. Then he says flame jade pill will only delay death, not cure it. Now the whole room's silent, because when a 7th grade master says the same thing as a teenager, the teenager is no longer just talking. Yi Tongyuan releases his aura, and the pressure of spirit soul realm fills the room. He stares at Xu Fengjiang and asks if he has been harming his wife. Xu Fengjiang panics and says he did nothing wrong, that even Jiang Rong cannot cure this poison, so what he did was already the limit. Yi Tongyuan looks at Jiang Rong. Jiang Rong sighs and says honestly, with his level, unless the patient is stronger than spirit soul realm, he also cannot cure this toxin completely. Hearing that, Yi Tongyuan's face becomes pale. If even Jiang Rong says no, then there is no hope. Xu Fengjiang immediately grabs the chance and says see, even Jiang Rong has no way, what he did was already the best. And right then, Qin Chen speaks again. Who said there is no way? Everyone turns at the same time. Xu Fengjiang laughs angrily and says even Jiang Rong cannot do it, and this kid thinks he can? Qin Chen doesn't even look at him. He tells him to shut up because his voice is annoying. That line alone almost makes Xu Fengjiang explode. Jiang Rong looks at Qin Chen seriously and says something that shocks everyone. I may not have a way, but young Master Qin might. Silence. Total silence. Even Yi Tongyuan stunned. A 7th grade alchemist just admitted someone else might be better, and that someone is a teenager. Xu Fengjiang can't accept it at all. He says if Qin Chen can cure the poison, he will kneel and call him master. But if he fails, Qin Chen must become his servant for life. Everyone looks at Qin Chen, because this bet is insane. Lose once and your whole life gone. Qin Chen smiles slowly, like he's been waiting for this. He says if you're in such a hurry to kneel, then fine. I accept. And just like that, Xu Fengjiang signed his own humiliation. Alright, this chapter is where the entire room slowly realizes that Qin Chen's way of saving people does not follow any logic they understand. Everybody expecting high-level pills, rare treasures, legendary techniques, and this man asks for the most basic pill in the world. Body-tempering pill. Not 1, not 10, more than 10,000. We start right after Qin Chen accepts the bet with Xu Fengjiang, and the atmosphere in the room becomes extremely tense. This is not just about saving Yi Ziking's mother anymore. Now pride, reputation, and face are all on the line. Jiang Rong knows Qin Chen's knowledge is terrifying, but even he feels uncertain this time. The poison inside Yi Ziking's mother is not something a low-level pill can fix, and Qin Chen's current cultivation is only spirit C level, with the orange-grade pill fire. He can refine first-grade pills at most, and the poison inside her is clearly beyond that. Yi Tongyuan even more nervous. This is his wife's life. He cannot afford mistakes, cannot afford experiments, cannot afford gambling. But when he looks at Yi Ziking, he sees complete trust in her eyes. Because she knows Qin Chen. If he says he can, he can. Qin Chen walks to the bed calmly and looks at the woman lying there. Even though her face is pale, her appearance still beautiful, the kind of elegant beauty that doesn't fade with age. For a moment, Qin Chen pauses slightly, then smiles faintly, like he just confirmed something. No wonder Yi Ziking looks like that. With a mother like this, of course, she would be beautiful. Xu Fengzhang can't stand it anymore and starts shouting again, saying if Qin Chen has no way, then stop wasting time. Qin Chen doesn't even argue. He just turns to Yi Ziking and says one sentence. Shut his mouth. The whole room freezes. Nobody expected him to say that so casually. Yi Ziking hesitates, because Xu Fengzhang is still a third-grade alchemist, and offending him in the capital could cause trouble for the Yi family. Before she moves, Yi Tangyuan speaks coldly. If you say one more word, even if you're a third-grade alchemist, I will not let you leave this courtyard alive. That shuts him up instantly. Now nobody dares talk. Qin Chen places his hand on the woman's wrist, and a thin stream of pill fire slowly enters her body. Jiang Rong's eyes widen immediately. He says this level of control, this is not normal. Most alchemists can only sense from outside, but sending pill fire inside the body requires extremely precise control. Even he only mastered this when he became second grade. Everyone shocked again. Xu Fengzhang still looks unhappy, but he doesn't dare speak. Qin Chen keeps examining carefully, and the more he checks, the more strange the situation becomes. The cold poison and fire energy inside her are not just fighting. They merged, wrapped around her spirit soul, completely tangled. For normal people, this is death. But Qin Chen suddenly smiles, because this also means there is a way. He stands up and says calmly, I can cure her. Everyone breathes at the same time. Yi Tangyuan almost steps forward immediately, asking what he needs. Qin Chen thinks for a moment, then asks one question. Do you have body tempering pills? Everyone stunned. Body tempering pill? The lowest level pill, used by beginners in Gate Realm. What does that have to do with spirit's soul level poison? Yi Ziking answers first. Ness. Qin Chen nods. Ring all of them. Not enough. Go buy more. At least 10,000. Now everyone completely confused. 10,000 body tempering pills? Even Jiang Rong frowns. He has seen countless methods, but never this. Still, nobody stops him. Soon, servants carry in box after box after box, filling the courtyard with pills. The smell of medicine everywhere, enough pills to train an entire army of beginners. Yi Tangyuan finally can't hold it and asks what Qin Chen plans to do. Qin Chen answers simply, save her, with body tempering pills. That makes even Jiang Rong speechless, because body tempering pill only works for early stage cultivators. For spirit soul level, it should be useless. Qin Chen doesn't explain. He just raises his hand. Pill fire appears. One pill flies up, then another, then hundreds. Under the flame, the pills don't melt into liquid. They turn into powder. Then from the powder, a faint green thread floats out. Jiang Rong suddenly shouts, green flame grass essence. Everyone shocked again. Green flame grass is inside body tempering pill to soften the effect, to balance the strength, to help the body accept the medicine. It is weak, very weak, but extremely stable. Qin Chen gathers the green threads one by one, guiding them into the woman's mouth slowly, carefully, layer after layer. This process continues for a long time. 1 hour, 2 hours. Thousands of pills turn into waste. Only the green essence remains. Finally, Qin Chen stops, exhales, and says softly, almost done. Everyone confused again. Almost done? What exactly is he doing? Before anyone can ask, Xu Fengzhang finally can't hold it anymore and laughs loudly, saying this must be fake, saying Qin Chen is just pretending. And the moment he speaks, everyone turns to look at him, because at this point, the only person still talking is the one most likely about to lose the bet. Alright, this chapter starts with Xu Fengzhang completely losing his patience, and honestly you can see it coming from miles away. When someone talks big, makes a bet, and then sees the situation turning against him, the next step is always the same. Denial. Loud denial. We begin with everyone still watching Qin Chen finish using thousands of body tempering pills and the whole courtyard filled with the smell of medicine. Box is empty, pills turned into powder, only green essence left, and after all that work nothing seems to happen, at least on the surface. And that is exactly the moment Xu Fengzhang explodes. He laughs loudly and says he knew it, saying Qin Chen was just acting mysterious, pretending to be deep, saying refining body tempering pills and extracting green flame grass essence is completely useless. He says even Zhang Rong had no way, so how could a kid possibly succeed? He keeps talking louder and louder, because the more he talks, the more he wants everyone to believe the result is already decided. Qin Chen just looks at him with a strange expression and says one thing: "If I were you, I would wait a little longer before speaking." That line hits different, because it sounds like a warning. But before he can even finish the sentence, a voice comes from the bed. "Dust, how confused. What are all of you doing?" Everyone freezes. Yi Tanyun turns first. Yi Ziking turns second. Jiang Rong turns. Shang Dingfeng turns. And on the bed Gu Yuehen slowly sits up. Alive, clear eyes, normal breathing, the pale color gone. The chaotic heat and cold aura completely disappeared. For a moment nobody moves. Then Yi Tanyun rushes forward like he forgot he is the head of one of the biggest families in the empire. His voice shaking. "Yuehen, you're awake?" Yu Ziking almost cries, running to the bed, holding her mother's hand, checking her pulse again and again like she can't believe it. And the result is obvious. The poison is gone, not suppressed, not weakened. The Chu Fengyang stands there completely frozen, his face white, eyes wide, like his brain stopped working. This is impossible. This should be impossible. He starts shaking his head, saying Qin Chen must have used some evil trick, saying the poison must be hiding, saying the life force must have been burned away. But Gu Yuhen herself speaks. She says the pain inside her body disappeared. The cold and heat that tortured her for so long completely gone. That one sentence is enough. The room goes silent again. Qin Chen smiles slightly, puts one hand behind his back, and says calmly, "Xu Fengjiang, time to keep your promise. They'll call me Master Qin." Those words hit like thunder, because everyone remembers the bet. Xu Fengjiang said if Qin Chen cured her, he would kneel and call him master. Now the result is right in front of him. His face turns red instantly. Not shame, rage, fear, rage. He screams that this must be cheating, that Qin Chen used tricks, that he refuses to accept it. And before anyone can react, he attacks. One step forward, 5 fingers like claws, flames exploding around his hand, spirit energy surging. This is not the strength of a weak alchemist. This is spirit platform level power. The strike aims straight at Qin Chen's chest. Everything happens too fast. Jiang Rong moves, Yi Tanyun moves, Shang Dingfeng moves. All 3 rush forward at the same time to stop him. Because no matter what, Qin Chen cannot die here. But Xu Fengyang attacked from too close, too sudden, too fast. They can't reach in time. Everyone thinks the same thing. Too late. But Qin Chen doesn't move. He just looks at Xu Fengyang and sighs. He says he already guessed the heavenly fire spirit crystal was not fully used to save the patient. Part of it Xu Fengyang kept for himself, to cultivate, to increase his fire power. That one sentence makes Xu Fengyang's eyes change. Because it's true, and before the attack reaches him, Qin Chen raises one finger. Just one. Spirit energy gathers at the tip. A small seal appears. He points forward. The seal hits Xu Fengyang's palm. For a moment, nothing happens. Then the fire on Xu Fengyang's hand explodes. Not outward, inward. The flame he cultivated with heavenly fire spirit crystal turns against him, spreading across his arm, then his body, then his whole figure. He screams. A real scream. The kind that makes people feel cold. In a few breaths, his entire body burns. No resistance. No struggle. Just ashes falling to the ground. Silence. Complete silence. Zhang Rong still standing with his hand half raised. Yi Tanyun frozen in place. Shang Dingfeng staring like he forgot how to blink. A spirit platform expert burned to death by one finger from a spirit sea kid. Nobody understands what just happened. Qin Chen brushes his sleeve like nothing happened and says calmly, if he just knelt, he could have lived a few more months. Now it's over. Then he turns to Yi Tanyun and says there is still one last step to finish the treatment. Everyone leave. Only Yi Ziking and her mother stay. No one dares ask why. No one dares question. Because after what they just saw when Qin Chen says leave you leave. Alright, this chapter is wild in a completely different way. No fight, no enemy, no explosion, just Qin Chen casually giving out a cultivation technique like he's handing someone a cup of tea. And the scary part is the technique he gives is something that should not even exist in this empire. We start right after Xu Fengyang turned into ashes, and everyone outside still standing there in shock, trying to understand what just happened. Jiang Rong finally explains it slowly. He says Xu Fengyang forced himself to fuse with the heavenly fire spirit crystal to raise his pill fire level, but his body could not handle the sudden increase. Normally he could still suppress it, but the moment he attacked and used his spiritual technique, the fire inside became unstable. Qin Chen saw that weakness. One finger, one tiny bit of spirit energy, hit the core of his pill fire, and the fire exploded from inside his body, like the last straw breaking the camel's back. Everyone listening feels cold on their back, because hearing the explanation makes it sound simple, but actually doing it impossible for normal people. Even Zhang Rong admits he didn't notice the flaw before Qin Chen spoke, and that is when everyone realizes again, this kid is not guessing. He already knew. Outside, Shang Xinyu suddenly remembers something strange. Last time when Qin Chen healed Yu Ziking, he also kicked everyone out of the room. This time again, he kicked everyone out and only left mother and daughter inside. Shang Xinyu's face becomes weird. Very weird. His father asks what's wrong, and he quickly says nothing, because he absolutely cannot say what he is thinking, because the thought in his head is extremely dangerous. What if Qin Chen likes older women? Yeah, that thought almost gets him killed in his imagination. If Yi Tang Yuan hears that, Qin Chen might survive, but Shang Xinyu definitely won't. Inside the room, everything is quiet. Yu Ziking looks at Qin Chen with confusion. Her mother looks fine. The poison gone. So why did he say there is still one last step? Qin Chen looks at both of them and starts explaining calmly. He talks about cultivation structure, 9 gates, spirit sea, spirit platform, spirit wheel, spirit soul, each realm connected, each part supporting the next. He says Yu Ziking's mother already reached spirit soul level, and her spirit sea, spirit platform, and spirit wheels are complete. But her spirit soul was damaged, not destroyed. He tells her to try circulating spirit energy. She closes her eyes, tries once, and suddenly opens them in shock, because she feels something wrong. Inside her body, there are 2 spinning forces, one cold, one hot. Every time she tries to use power, those 2 forces appear and block her. Qin Chen nods. Exactly. The cold poison and the fire energy from Heavenly Fire Spirit Crystal didn't disappear. He turned them into 2 types of power inside her body, but now they are unstable. If she fights, they interfere. If she cultivates, they collide. Her strength will drop. For a spirit soul expert, that is almost worse than death. Yu Ziking's face changes immediately. For the Yi family, her mother is one of the strongest pillars. If she becomes half useless, the whole family suffers. She looks at Qin Chen carefully and asks one question. You have a way, right? Qin Chen sits down calmly and says of course. But this time, there is a condition. This method cannot be told to anyone, not even her father. Both mother and daughter shocked. Before, when he awakened her special body, he was not this serious. Now he is, which means the technique he is about to give is extremely dangerous knowledge. Yu Ziking doesn't hesitate. She agrees. Her mother also agrees. They swear. Only then Qin Chen nods. He starts talking slowly. He says long ago, under the 9 Nether Emperor, there were many disciples. One of them had a special body with perfect yin and yang balance. That person created a technique, yin-yang spirit nurturing art, a 4th grade spirit technique, not the strongest, but perfect for controlling 2 opposite energies. If her mother cultivates this, the hot and cold forces inside her will not fight anymore. They will combine. When she uses power, instead of weakening her, they will make her stronger, even 10 times stronger. Mother and daughter stunned, because what he is saying sounds like legend, and the way Qin Chen talks sounds like he saw it himself. He even says the technique was created for a useless disciple long ago, like he remembers the person, not like he read it in a book. Time passes. He explains slowly, step by step. They listen carefully, afraid to miss even one word. Finally, the door opens. Qin Chen walks out. Everyone outside immediately stands up. Yi Tang Yuan runs forward, asking if his wife is okay. Qin Chen says yes, completely fine. Only then Yi Tang Yuan finally relaxes after so many days. Yu Ziking walks out behind him, and Qin Chen looks at her and suddenly asks one question. You already reached Spirit Sea 5th level, right? She freezes, because she never told him, and he just said it like he was reading her status screen. Alright, this chapter is basically Qin Chen casually destroying someone's life goals again, except this time the victim is Yu Ziking's sword career. And honestly, the way he does it hurts more than any fight, because he proves she is wrong without even trying. We start right after they leave the room, and Qin Chen suddenly asks Yu Ziking one question. You reached Spirit Sea 5th level, right? She nods obediently, and this alone is already shocking. In the capital, she's one of the proudest geniuses, but in front of Qin Chen she acts like a student waiting for homework. He says her progress is a little slower than he expected, but still acceptable. Then he reminds her again that as long as she stays by his side and calls him young master, he will not let her suffer any loss. That line sounds arrogant, but after everything he did, nobody doubts it anymore. Then he starts talking about her body. 9 revolutions exquisite body. This kind of physique constantly transforms the body, making it stronger again and again. But if you don't have the correct cultivation method, the speed of improvement will drop a lot. So he says he will give her a technique. 9 revolutions jade body art. The moment she hears the name, her expression changes, because she actually knows this technique exists. Her father once investigated it when he discovered her special body, and the result was terrifying. This is a 9th grade spirit technique. 9th grade, not rare, not precious, almost non-existent. Not only in the North Ming Empire, even in the entire 9 nether continent, techniques of this level are basically legend. She looks at Qin Chen like she wants to ask something but doesn't dare. Finally, she asks anyway, "How do you even have this?" Qin Chen looks at her and says simply, "If you shouldn't ask, don't ask." That answer makes her even more confused, but she lowers her head and accepts it. Because by now she already understands one thing. If Qin Chen doesn't want to explain, forcing him is useless. He says he will only give her the first level for now, and when she reaches spirit platform, he will give the second. Then suddenly he says something unexpected. "Stop using sword." She freezes. Sword is her strongest weapon. In the capital, among girls her age, her sword skill is almost unmatched. She thought he was joking, but he repeats it seriously. "Sword does not suit you." She can't hold it anymore and asks why. Qin Chen says nothing. He just stretches out his hand. "Give me your sword." She hesitates for a moment, then hands him the blade. First grade spirit weapon. Not bad. He swings it once and the sword hums lightly. Then he looks at a tree nearby and casually strikes. Leaves fall. Nothing special. At least that's what it looks like. Then suddenly the sword moves again. Faster. So fast the air starts tearing. In a moment, dozens of sword lights appear, slicing through the falling leaves. When the leaves land on the ground, everyone freezes, because the leaves are cut into shapes. Human shapes. And every shape looks like he's hiking. Not random cuts. Perfect control. Perfect angle. Perfect distance. Even teachers in the academy cannot do this. Qin Chen returns the sword and says calmly, "This is sword, not what you are doing." Then he explains, "Sword is straight, hard, direct. But her body is soft, flexible, constantly changing. Her strength should be like water, not like steel. So instead of sword, use whip. Whip is soft, but deadly. Flexible, but strong. Exactly like her physique. If she trains whip together with 9 revolutions jade body art, her power will increase much faster." Yu Ziking stays silent for a long time. Because she knows he's right. Every time he said something before, it always turned out correct. Finally, she nods. "All right, from now on no more sword." Qin Chen teaches her the first level of the technique, explains the key points, then leaves the residence. On the road, Zhang Rong walks beside him, asking questions again like a student who finally found a teacher. Shang Dingfeng and Shang Xinyu follow behind, listening carefully, afraid to miss anything. Today changed everything for them. A 16-year-old who can teach a 7th grade alchemist. A 16-year-old who burns a spirit platform expert with one finger. A 16-year-old who gives out 9th grade techniques like candy. Back at the inn, Lang Xiaofai is practicing happily, saying next time she will protect Qin Chen instead. He just smiles, because he still doesn't know for sure if she is really related to the 9 Nether clan. But even if there's only a small chance, he will protect her. Late at night, he sits alone and starts cultivating. Spirit C 2nd level. Not enough. Far from enough. In the capital, danger is everywhere, and the thing he worries most about is not enemies. It's his brother. Qin Chan's Spirit C was destroyed. For a cultivator, that is worse than death. But Qin Chen already decided, whoever did that will pay, sooner or later. And the moment he finds out who it was, that person will wish they never touched the Qin family. Alright, this chapter jumps away from Qin Chen for a moment, but the funny part is even when he's not there, everything happening in the empire is still connected to him somehow. And this time, the story moves to the most dangerous place in the entire North Ming Empire, the palace. While Qin Chen is quietly cultivating in the inn, the royal palace is wide awake in the middle of the night. Guards in black armor patrolling everywhere, long halls full of golden pillars, dragon carvings, spirit lamps burning all night. In the North Ming Empire, the imperial family is the absolute ruler. The only force that can stand equal to them is the Heavenly God Academy, but the Academy doesn't care about politics, so the throne still controls everything. Inside one of the main halls, several princes are already standing there waiting. 2nd Prince Mingyu, 6th Prince Mingqi, a few others. They were called here suddenly in the middle of the night, and nobody knows exactly why, except for one rumor. Mingyu found a spirit sword, not just any sword. something special enough that the emperor personally summoned everyone. Ming-Chi smiles with that annoying confident face and says if their father called them this late, it must mean the sword is important. He even says their father's eyesight is unmatched in the empire. Only the Academy's dean can compare. That sentence sounds like praise, but it's actually aimed at Ming Yu. Like saying, don't think you found something the emperor can't understand. Ming Yu's face darkens a little, but he keeps calm and says the sword is related to the royal family's secret, so of course the emperor must check carefully. The moment he says royal secret, everyone becomes serious. Because the North Ming royal family has existed for tens of thousands of years, and rumors say their founder left behind something hidden, something no one fully understands. Right then, another voice laughs from the door. The eldest prince arrives, Ming Changlong, the only prince already titled as a prince with real authority. Tall, strong, confident, the kind of man who looks like he was born to stand on the battlefield. Among all the princes, his reputation is the highest, and even the others treat him with respect. He looks at Ming Yu and laughs, saying he heard this time Ming Yu did a great job, and the emperor will definitely reward him. Ming Yu answers carefully, saying everything he did was for the empire, not for reward. Before anyone can talk more, a heavy voice echoes through the hall. Everyone kneels instantly, because the person walking in is the strongest man in the entire North Ming Empire. Emperor Ming Yan, wearing dark golden dragon robe, eyes sharp like blades, every step carrying pressure that makes even the princes hold their breath. He sits down, and two guards bring out two sword boxes. Then he says one sentence that shocks everyone. Ming Yu has done great merit. From today, he will be titled Prince Wu. Prince, not reward, not money. Prince. Only one prince existed before. Now there are two. All the princes stunned. Even Ming Changlong surprised. All this just for bringing back one sword? Ming-Chi immediately protests, saying giving such a reward for just a sword might make other countries laugh at them. The emperor looks at him calmly and asks one question. Do you think I am wrong? The hall becomes silent. Then he orders the guards to open the boxes. The first sword appears. Qin Yu sword. Everyone recognizes it. This sword was made by the founding emperor Ming Yuan, and legend says it hides a secret of the royal family. Then the second box opens. Another sword. Qin Yan's sword. The hall explodes, because the legend says these two swords are a pair, yin and yang. If both appear, the secret of the founding emperor can be revealed. For tens of thousands of years, the royal family searched everywhere, but only found one. Now the second is here. That is why Ming Yu was rewarded, not because of the sword, because of what the sword might unlock. The emperor sighs and says he already called the best weapon masters and formation masters in the palace, but nobody could see the secret inside. Then he says something even more shocking. Their ancestor Ming Yuan was once the disciple of King Yun Venerable, and King Yun Venerable is the disciple of the Nine Nether Emperor. The name falls into the hall like thunder. Nine Nether Emperor, the legend of the entire continent. The man who once ruled everything. The man whose name still appears in every ancient story. And nobody in the room knows the person connected to that name is currently sitting in a small inn in the capital, cultivating quietly, thinking only about his brother's injury. If they knew the Nine Nether Emperor himself is back in this world, nobody in this palace would be sleeping tonight. Alright, this chapter is where the royal family starts playing real power games. And the funny part is the key to everything is still connected to Qin Chen. Even though the emperor has no idea the person he needs is literally drinking tea in a small inn. We continue inside the palace after the two swords were revealed, and the atmosphere becomes completely different. Before, the princes were just curious. Now, every single one of them is staring at the swords like they're looking at the throne itself. Because the emperor finally explains the truth. Long ago, when the North Ming Empire was not just an empire but a real kingdom, their ancestor Ming Yuan followed King Yun Venerable, and at that time the royal family had strength far beyond the four spirit realm. There were even terrifying experts stronger than Earth martial level, people who could shake entire regions of the Nine Nether Continent. Back then, the North Ming Kingdom was powerful enough that even big sects had to show respect. But time passed, generation after generation became weaker, inheritance was lost, techniques disappeared, and the kingdom slowly turned into the empire they have now. The emperor sighs while saying this, and for the first time the princes see something rare. Regret. He says building an empire is hard, but keeping it strong is even harder. Over tens of thousands of years, treasures were stolen, techniques lost, and now even a 4th grade spirit technique is considered a family treasure. Once they had 5th grade, 6th grade techniques. Now 4th grade is already the peak. The hall becomes quiet, because everyone understands what this means. Their empire is declining. and the two swords on the table might be the only chance to change that. The Emperor looks at King Yang's sword and King Yi's sword and finally reveals the biggest secret. Inside these two swords there is a technique. Minjiu King Fist, 4th grade spirit technique, created by the founding emperor himself. And not just normal 4th grade. If trained to the highest level, it can rival 5th grade techniques. The moment he says that, every prince's breathing becomes heavy. Because this is not just power, this is future. If someone masters that technique, the royal family could produce a warrior beyond the 4-spirit realm again. And once that happens, the North Ming Empire could rise back to its former glory. But then the emperor says the worst part. He already tried everything. Weapon masters, formation masters, spirit masters. No one could unlock the secret inside the swords. They are sure the swords are real, but the method to open them nobody understands. Then the emperor stands up and says the reason he called everyone here tonight. 3 days. Each prince can find anyone they want. Weapon masters, formation masters, cultivators, anyone. Bring them to the palace. Whoever opens the secret of the swords will become crown prince. The hall explodes in silence. Nobody speaks, but everyone's eyes change. Because this is not a reward. This is the throne. Even Ming Changlong, who already has the highest status, becomes serious. Even Ming Qi stops smiling. Even Ming Yu, who just became Prince Wu, feels pressure. The emperor leaves, and the princes immediately scatter, each one already planning who to invite, who to trust, who to use. 3 days. Only 3 days to decide the future ruler of the empire. Ming Yu does not leave the palace right away. Now that he is Prince Wu, he can go to the inner palace to see his mother. Inside her chamber, he explains everything, including the swords, the secret, and the emperor's order. His mother listens quietly, then asks one simple question. Where did you get the sword? He answers, from the auction, St. Pill Pavilion auction. And the moment he says that, his eyes suddenly change, because he remembers something. That day, at the auction, Qin Chen, that calm face, that confidence when selling the sword, like he knew exactly what it was. Ming Yu stands up immediately. He says he knows who to find. His mother looks at him carefully, then calls someone from the shadows, ordering him to investigate Qin Chen's background. After the man leaves, she sighs and talks about the past. The Qin family once fought together with the royal family when the kingdom was strong. Back then, their ancestors were generals under Ming Yuan. But now the Qin family is only the lord of one small region. Lost techniques, lost inheritance, lost glory. She says if their family still had their ancient cultivation manual, they would not be this weak today. And outside the palace, Ming Yu already left in a hurry, because he is thinking the same thing over and over. If anyone in this empire can understand that sword, it might be that crazy kid, Qin Chen. Alright, this chapter goes right back to Qin Chen, and the moment the royal family gets involved, you already know someone is about to get embarrassed. Because every time a prince thinks his status means something, Qin Chen reminds him real fast that titles don't mean anything in front of someone who lived through 10,000 years of history. We start early in the morning. Qin Chen finishes cultivating, stretches slowly, completely relaxed after training all night. Meanwhile, Zhao Fei wakes up, sees he didn't sleep at all, and immediately gets motivated to work harder. Then the next second she says she's hungry. The cultivation motivation lasted exactly 1 sentence. So the two of them leave the inn to go eat. Because after being spoiled by the cooks at the Sacred Pill Pavilion, Zhao Fei now refuses to eat normal food. But the moment they step outside, someone is already waiting. Ming Yu, now officially Prince Wu. He walks forward politely, much more respectful than before, and apologizes for what happened earlier. He even says Qin Chen helped the royal family recover a lost treasure, so instead of plotting, he should have thanked him. Qin Chen waves his hand like he doesn't care. He says, if you know you were wrong, that's enough, but don't block my breakfast. That line alone almost makes Ming Yu's guard explode. The guard reminds Qin Chen that Ming Yu is now a prince. Qin Chen looks at him and laughs. He says, prince? So what? Then he starts talking about the history of the North Ming Empire like he was there when it happened. He says their ancestor Ming Yuan built the kingdom alone, but generation after generation wasted everything. Until now they still call themselves an empire just because they don't want to lose face. He even says the current North Ming is not even worthy of being called an empire. At best just a small country pretending to be big. Content reference site 0 index equals 0. Ming Yu's face becomes awkward instantly. Because the scary part is Qin Chen is right. Most people don't even know that history anymore. But this 16-year-old speaks like he read the original records. Qin Chen says, don't show off your prince status in front of me. Even if the North Ming Kingdom was as strong as before, you still wouldn't have the qualification. That level of arrogance would get anyone killed. but Ming Yu doesn't get angry, because after everything he saw, he knows Qin Chen might actually have the right to say that. He is about to speak again, when another voice interrupts. What? Mocking? Several people walk over, led by a young man wearing luxurious clothes, looking even more arrogant than the others. Third prince, Ming Xuan. He looks at Ming Yu and laughs, asking why a prince is being so polite to some random kid. Then he looks at Qin Chen and says he heard the sword Ming Yu found came from him. So that means Qin Chen must know something about it. Then he says 2 words. Come with me, not request. Order. Qin Chen's eyes narrow slightly. Ming Yu immediately tries to stop him, saying he invited Qin Chen first. Ming Xuan laughs and says invited? If he doesn't want to go, just drag him. Why waste time talking? He even says Ming Yu became prince but still acts too soft. Then he turns to Qin Chen again and says if he refuses, he can order the army to destroy the Qin family. That sentence makes the air freeze, because now he crossed the line. Qin Chen looks at him calmly and asks one thing. You want to destroy my Qin family? Ming Xuan smiles proudly and says with one military order, the Qin family can disappear today. Qin Chen laughs, not angry, not loud, just cold. He takes one step forward and says if that's what you want then you probably won't have the chance. Ming Xuan sneers and walks forward too, not taking him seriously at all. Spirit Sea 5th level, royal bloodline. He thinks crushing Qin Chen will be easy. The two clash instantly, palm against palm. For a moment Ming Xuan smiles, thinking he already won. Then his face changes, because the strength coming from Qin Chen's hand is terrifying, far beyond what a 3rd level Spirit Sea should have. Before he can react, Qin Chen's finger forms a seal. Sure, a flame seal. The mark hits Ming Xuan's palm and rushes up his arm like burning poison. Heat explodes. Spirit energy breaks. Ming Xuan's expression turns from confident to shocked in one breath, because this is not a normal attack. This feels like something that shouldn't exist at his level, and for the first time since he walked over the prince realizes he might have just picked the worst person in the entire capital to threaten. Alright, this chapter goes completely off the rails. Up until now Qin Chen was humiliating princes, breaking arms, hanging people on roofs, but this time he crosses the line nobody in the empire dares to cross. He kills a prince, not by accident, not by mistake, in the middle of the capital, in front of everyone. We start right where Ming Xuan attacks Qin Chen, thinking his Spirit Sea 5th level strength is more than enough. But he forgot one thing. Qin Chen's Spirit Sea is not normal. Each of his Spirit Seas needs 9 smaller seas to complete. So even at 3rd level, the power he can explode with is far beyond normal 5th level cultivators. Content reference OSIDE 0 index equals 0. The Shura flame seal burns across Ming Xuan's arm, and before anyone understands what happened, crack. His left arm breaks off completely. Not cut, not wounded. The arm falls to the ground, burns to ash, and disappears like it never existed. The street goes silent. Then Ming Xuan screams like he's lost his mind. He knows what this means. That arm cannot be healed unless you find heaven-level medicine, the kind that grows flesh from bone. For a prince, losing an arm is worse than death. He starts shouting, ordering all his guards to kill Qin Chen immediately. More than 10 Spirit Sea guards rush forward at the same time. Ming Yu freezes for a moment, completely shocked. Breaking Ming Trite's arm before was already dangerous, but this time is different. This is not injury. This is destruction. If the Emperor finds out, Qin Chen will definitely be executed. But Ming Yu also knows something else. Qin Chen might be the only person who understands the secret of the 2 swords. So he grits his teeth and jumps forward. He blocks in front of Qin Chen, uses King Long's seal. Palm strike explodes outward, forcing the guards back for a moment. He tells Qin Chen to leave. Right now. Immediately, Qin Chen just looks at him and says, come leave. He said he would destroy my Qin family. Where exactly do you want me to go? That one sentence already tells you this is not ending peacefully. More guards rush in, weapons everywhere. Spirit energy exploding. Qin Chen takes out the short staff. One swing. A Spirit Sea 3rd level guard dies before even understanding what hit him. The staff pierces through his weapon, through his chest, straight through his body. People on the street start stopping to watch. Nobody believes what they're seeing. Fighting in the capital against royal guards. This is something that normally means execution for everyone involved. More guards attack, more bodies fall. Qin Chen's killing intent rises higher and higher. Threaten his family? Even if the Emperor himself stands here, he will still kill. Right when the fight gets worse, a whip sound cuts through the air. Yiziking arrives with old coup. with Yu Liang, with several people from the Yi family. Her whip strikes once and a guard falls instantly. She lands beside Qin Chen and apologizes for coming late. Qin Chen says calmly it doesn't matter. These people were not enough to threaten him anyway. Even Yi Ziking looks at Ming Shu and lying on the ground without surprise. At this point, anything Qin Chen does already feels normal. The guards are blocked. Nobody can reach him. Qin Chen walks slowly toward Ming Xuan. Step by step, staff in hand, Ming Xuan's face turns white. He starts shouting that he is a prince, son of Emperor Ming Yan, that Qin Chen cannot kill him. Qin Chen steps on his chest and says he spared Ming tribe because of their ancestor Ming Yuan, and he already tolerated the royal family twice. This is the third time, and he does not give third chances. He even says the descendants of Ming Yuan are getting worse every generation, and cleaning a few of them might actually help the family. Then he raises the staff. Everyone watching holds their breath, because if he strikes, this is war. Right before the staff falls, he shouts, "Stop!" A man in black robe walks in, dragon pattern on his chest, aura heavy enough to make everyone step back. Ming Yu's face turns pale. "You prince!" The emperor's younger brother, one of the most powerful men in the empire. He scolds Ming Yu for helping an outsider instead of saving his own brother, and Ming Yu cannot even answer. Then he looks at Qin Chen and says killing a prince in the street is death penalty. Yu Ziking steps forward, whip in hand, standing in front of Qin Chen. Yu Prince laughs and says if her father were here, maybe he would care, but she is still too weak. Everyone now looking at Qin Chen, because this is the last chance. If he stops now, maybe he lives. If he continues, even the emperor will not forgive him. Yu Prince says one more time, if I were you, I would release him now. Qin Chen looks down at Ming Xuan, then looks up and says slowly, in this life, the thing I hate most is being threatened. The staff moves, fast, straight through the throat. Blood sprays. Ming Xuan's eyes go wide then empty. The street becomes completely silent. A prince just died.